Hey guys, welcome to the episode number 2 of Garage Talk, where you got me, Ali Shami, and you got Sam Moukalled.
What's up, everybody?
Talk about mortgages, real estate, Dearborn Heights, few local communities, things that's popping off, things that's not, and we just wanna bring out as much information as we could. So
Yeah.
what's going on, Mook?
It's been a good day so far.
Nice.
And I'm very excited for episode 2 and to talk a little bit more about ourselves, our upbringing, where we came from, how we started up, and you do real estate and how I do mortgages. So I think my question to you is, when you first started real estate, why did you start real estate?
Man, I was sick of the restaurant business. So I'm still in the restaurant business, but when I first started real estate, we were like Leo's Coney Islands, and it was a tough industry. You're talking about a huge menu, huge staff. I'm dealing with it when I was like 16 years old all the way up until I turned 23, 24. It was tough. It was very tough. So I kind of faded away from that. I've always had a passion for real estate, though. So I was a younger guy. I always used to see real estate ads and commercials, on the TV. And I used to be like, man, I really like the, what they're doing, how they dress, which I don't dress like them fully every single day. But, you see that and you're like, man, that really clicks with you. It depends on, what type of person you are. I just truly have a passion for helping people. Yeah. I think that's one of my biggest things, is I love to help people.
Yeah. And for a lot of you people that don't know, Ali and I, we actually used to work together. Mm-hmm. I used to be at the Leo's with you. Mm-hmm. So that was part of my upbringing too.
And that was a fun time.
Yeah, that was a fun time. But you're right though. So talking about like the menu being huge and all that, client satisfaction. And when I started doing mortgages, I started it right after the restaurant business, like yourself. A lot of it translates well. So although because you're talking to a lot of people when you're in the restaurant business, again, client experience is huge.
Customer service.
Yeah, customer service, making sure everybody's happy, they're eating a good meal. But more importantly, like having a smile on their face and like and seeing like, hey, I got this regular customer that comes in every single day because they want to see me and then eat the food as well. And I guess where I'm trying to go with it is that mortgages, real estate, it's the same thing. Like you're building a relationship, you're talking to people.
Customer service. I always used to say this. I used to say, if you wanted to start off your career, one thing that you should definitely do is start working in a restaurant.
Yeah.
If you start working in a restaurant, you'll learn customer service. You'll learn people interaction. You'll learn how to, reading people's body language and their facial language. And you learn so much about people in general and the different types of people that do come into the restaurants. Mm-hmm. You learn so much. So that, I think, is one of the biggest things and biggest keys for people when they're trying to get into an industry or trying to do something with their lives. I think restaurant business is huge.
It's huge. It's still huge.
Yeah, absolutely. It's still huge.
Yeah.
So I spoke about, I'm still in the restaurant business. So we have a startup burgers franchise, about 7 locations deep now. And it's called Burger One. So if you guys want to check it out, we're located in Warren Centerline, Dearborn Heights, Southgate, Trenton, and then Farmington Hills.
Yeah, what's the newest one? You guys just opened up one, right?
So the newest one will be opened up in a couple weeks, hopefully. That one's in Southgate. Okay. And then we have another location coming up in West End. It's not something that I like to talk about too much, but it is something that I just wanted to put out there because I still currently am in the restaurant business because it's just part of me. It really is.
It's in your soul.
I can't leave it. I can't leave it. Just as much as real estate has been a part of me, that's been a bigger part. So,
of course.
Yeah.
Of course. I remember the day. I remember the day that I left the restaurant business, and it was eye-opening because a lot of the times, like, hey, it's so fun. You're meeting all these people. Again, client satisfaction, all that good stuff that we just talked about. But you're also working like, it's laborious. Mm-hmm. It's a lot of labor. Mm-hmm. You're coming home late. You're working maybe sometimes 11, 12-hour shifts. And I remember one day after my 11, 12-hour shift, ironically speaking, like, go to the garage. You're at the garage. Mm-hmm. Your cousin's at the garage. Mm-hmm. And we're just having a really good time. And somebody was telling me, he's like, hey, I just got into mortgages. I'm going to United Wholesale Mortgage. Man, you should give it a shot. Check it out. It's a nice change.
I remember I was husty.
You were mad.
I was husty.
Yeah. I like to think that I was one of your top workers, but
100%.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was pissed just because I had so much, faith in the fact that, you were gonna be there all the time, and I was gonna be able to take some time off, and now I gotta go back to work extra, make sure that everything is good, find the next person to do this for me. So
yeah, it was like both of us at the same time.
I was happy for you because I knew you hated it. You were just doing it to pay the bills.
I loved it, but I also hated it. You're right, and it was more so like just I'm trying to pay the bills.
It's working for me. It's probably just working for me.
You were always like, let's not talk about it. But no, it was fun. It was fun. So I started at United Wholesale Mortgage. I was an account executive there. And it's funny when you think about it because I feel like I did something different than a lot of people would do.
Okay.
I did it in reverse. A lot of people, especially from Dearborn, Dearborn Heights, you go out of high school, you're 18. Where do I go?
Straight to Quicken Loans.
Straight to Quicken.
Straight to Quicken Loans,
yeah. I want to be a banker. I want to do this.
Yes.
I'm going to write loans. And
Yes.
I did it the opposite. I went to United Wholesale Mortgage. I was an account executive there. Then I went to Rocket. And instead of banking, I was an account executive there too. And after that, both very good places, by the way. But after that, I felt like, I want to be a little bit more focused on building a relationship, speaking with people, and kind of having that restaurant type of feel again.
Yeah,
but on
customer service.
Yeah, the customer service, but on the loan officer side. Not because it's not transactional once you're on our side as a loan officer and a mortgage broker. But that's a little bit about me, and that's kind of how I started. And, knock on wood, we're still doing good.
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. That's great, bro. I see it. And honestly, I do like that you said that you started off there. A lot of retail bankers still don't even understand the wholesale side perfectly. I'm sure you have a great grasp on both sides of the business. So, which is huge. It's huge for your clients. It's huge for the people that you work with. It's huge for the people that you educate in your office, the newcomers who are coming here trying to become retail bankers. They're trying to do a lot of stuff. Yeah. And that's great for you, really.
Yeah, thank you for saying that. I did get to, you're right, I did get to see it all. I got to see the process, how do you take a loan from the beginning, get it all the way to closing, the intricate details that a lot of people were they either oversee or they miss, and it turns into a bad experience, which is obviously there's always some bad transactions.
Of course.
But for the most part, you got to have a good set of eyes and make sure everything is going smooth. And I got to see a lot of it. I experienced a lot of it. Yeah.
Nice. That's good.
So you, real estate, tell me more. So obviously you're in real estate, you're doing a really good job right now. And then how are you feeling as if the market is playing out for you currently, as in today? Because I know you started a while back.
So for those of you who don't know, I was licensed in August of 2018, became an active agent in 2019, January. So from there, I worked 2 years part-time. And then I worked 1 year part-time and then another half a year part-time because we had that COVID year in 2020. So that's kind of when I put my foot on the gas and just took full force of this. And at the time, I've witnessed probably three different markets. And watching this market right now, it's been a very topsy-turvy market. You're watching a lot of people looking for houses. They're trying to make it work for themselves, and it's just not working out. So to give you an experience I had, showed a house the other day in West Dearborn. This was last week, actually. So we showed a house. All of a sudden, house goes up on the market, ends up selling probably about $75,000 over asking price.
Wow.
So I deal with a lot of first-time home buyers, people who are newly married. Some of them, obviously, they're selling their home, they're moving out, whatever the case may be. They're still moving from their starter home to their bigger house or their secondary home. And I look at them and I'm like, it's tough. It's very hard because these people, to get into this house and to offer $75,000 over asking price, you got to make sure you got some appraisal gap coverage in there. You got to make sure that you're able to help these people out without taking out too much money out of their pockets. Yeah. And in reality, it's a lot of the times out of anybody's control.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. And you're right, though, too, especially when you're talking hey, first-time home buyer, $75,000 over. You know, a lot of the misconception is like, okay, well, 70 grand over, 75 grand over, whatever it may be. It's like, oh, whatever, I'll just finance it. Like, no, you can't.
Yeah, there's so much more to it.
There's so much more to it. You can't just finance that money. You have to come out of pocket with it. And
yes. And that's why I think people take the representation of a buyer's agent a little, you know, a little far. You know, they don't really see the value in which a buyer's agent, some people don't see the value. I don't want to say everybody, but a lot of people don't see that value in a buyer's agent because they're representing you. You need that representation because you need to understand everything that's going on with this purchase agreement, everything that's going on with your offer, when you're under contract, what goes on after you're under contract, you know, all those things. And I don't think people understand that. And we try to explain it to them in the process. The only way you're going to learn is through experience, you know, right. Especially myself. I can't learn nothing unless I experience it.
Yeah, you got to go through it firsthand.
Absolutely. You got to go through it firsthand. And what's a better teacher than that? So I've witnessed it. I've seen it. I'm watching a lot of people struggle with it. It's been very hard. You know, it has. It's been very hard for a lot of people who are trying to buy nowadays.
Yeah. I have somewhat of a similar situation just happened to me for you last week. For me, like 3-4 days ago. Okay. I had a buyer who was trying to get under contract on a property. It's all the way up north. So this is not the first house that they buy. It's more so going to be an investment property. But either way, they went $45,000 over, and because it's so far out, it's 2 hours away from where they live right now. They wanted to buy it sight unseen, meaning like, hey, like we're not looking at this property, we're not, you know, driving all the way up to up north. We're waiving the inspection, we're waiving everything. Sure, we're gonna buy it, and we're gonna buy it for $45,000 over. And yesterday, we find out the offer doesn't get accepted. So it's like, wow. How crazy are people actually getting when they're placing these offers?
So I don't like the idea of, okay, I'm going to submit an offer, sight unseen, not going to go take a look at the house, not going to do an inspection on the house. You know, there's things that you should be doing. And if, let's say you're not allowed to do, put an offer on a house let me rephrase that. If you're putting an offer on a house and there's still a couple more days of showing, you know, there's a lot of ways where you can, you know, kind of try to figure out what's going on. Go in for a second showing. Do a couple things that, you know, might make sense for you. And obviously, when you're doing those things and you're checking on the major things like the foundation, the roof, all that stuff, and you're making sure the major costs aren't going to be implemented into when you buy the home, you know, submit the best offer that you possibly can. But what I'm seeing is like there's a lot of people who are going crazy. And obviously it depends on the house. Mm-hmm. It truly does depend on the house. I've had multiple occasions, just like the one that I just spoke about, and I'm watching people go nuts over this stuff.
Yeah, it's very frequent.
And especially to live in Dearborn Heights. I think I made a video about it one time. It's insane what people will do to live in those two cities. It really is. I'm watching them and I'm looking at them like, man, it's not going to be easy. You know, it's not an easy battle.
It's not at all.
You're competing against people who are, you know, probably more educated than you, or who are more wealthier than you and can afford better things than you can. Yeah. So it's hard. You're competing, and we're all fighting for the same houses.
Yeah. No, we're fighting for the same houses, but the question is why? You and I had this conversation, but I want to touch on this topic to, you know, everybody that's like tuning in and listening. But why? You know, why? You know, what's going on with the inventory? Why are people fighting over the same house?
So if anybody understands how inventory works, we're sitting at a standstill at about 2 months of inventory, which means there's roughly about 150 to 170 homes on the market. If we were to stop selling real estate today and get rid of everything on the market, just get rid of everything on the market, not allowed to list anymore, that would last us about 2 months, which in an average market, in a healthy average market, we should be up to 6 to 8 months of inventory. Yeah. We do not have that today.
I agree.
And in both those cities combined, as big as both those cities are combined, we still don't have that.
That's insane to me, because you put it into perspective, and you look at other states too, like Texas, for example. I don't think they're like that.
Texas, I think they're sitting at about 8 months of inventory.
8 months.
I think they're sitting at in between 6 to 8 months, actually. So right within the healthy market, because they have so much more room for new construction. Mm-hmm. We don't have room for new construction. There's no land to build on.
I don't remember passing by anywhere. Dearborn and Dearborn Heights, even Canton. Like,
yeah, No, Canton, Canton's been a developing city over the course of the past 20 years, 30 years. So, but in Dearborn and Dearborn Heights, we barely have anything to build on. If you're building, you're breaking down a house. There's a property that already sits on this said property. It's not vacant land.
Yeah, or like you said, like you're either buying a vacant land and then building on top of it.
Yes. And people we just love the city. Obviously, everybody does. But you look at it, you're like, oh my God, like what are we supposed to do?
What are we
really?
gonna do?
What are we supposed to do? What are we gonna do? That's not an answer that I have today. I think everybody needs to, calm down. Just everything will be okay. Inevitably, you will find that right home for you.
A lot of it doesn't translate well, I think, to what people's thoughts and impressions are about like buying a house too. It's because on my end, it's a lot different than what you see. On my end, people are arguing and thinking about, and it's very reasonable to think about these things. I'm not discounting that at all. But it's like, hey, the interest rate is so high, I don't want to buy right now. And then it also is like, hey, we're waiting on home prices to go down. My personal opinion on it is that if the interest rates go down, the home prices go up, and it's vice versa. My thought process is if you could afford a home, comfortably afford a home, and be able to purchase it right now, obviously at a good price, again, very comfortable to what your personal finances are, purchase it right now, wait a few years, maybe even 3, 4, but at the end of the day, just refinance out of that high rate. That's my thought process on it. I don't know how you would feel about that. Maybe I'm a little bit biased.
No, I don't think you said anything wrong. You can't listen. You want to wait. You want to wait on the sidelines. You want to say, okay, no, the house prices are gonna fall. You're asking for something to happen that nobody has the proper answer for. These are all predictions. We think that the housing market's gonna come down. We think that interest rates are gonna drop. I don't think anybody understands that these are all predictions. We can't tell. We really can't tell. This isn't The Big Short, where you got a guy who's guessing the state of the market. This isn't the same situation. So I think what people don't understand is, okay, you want to buy a house. Let's say, so I always give people these ultimatums. Obviously, a lot of people would focus on, they want a house that's finished, well done. It makes sense for them. They can move right in. Perfect. I love that. But now let's say you're having a tough time finding that because you're competing against so many people who want the same thing, okay? Well, guess what people don't want? They don't want fixer-uppers, okay? So we have the conversation of, okay, how much money do you have in the bank? How much money do you have to spend? Do we need to sell you a renovation loan? Which there is the renovation loans out there.
Absolutely.
And I don't think people talk about those too much.
Nobody does.
So get a fixer-upper. Get a home that you're going to buy for X amount of dollars. It's undervalued. It's undervalued because of the state that it's in. And now you can say, okay, I'm going to dump $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 to get this home up to bar into livable condition for myself.
But you're financing that 40, 50
you
versus putting it out of pocket.
That's if you don't have
renovation
it.
loan.
If you don't have it. So regardless of the fact, there's so many other options. I think people are just stuck to one option. And I hate it.
Yeah, you're absolutely 100% right. And then it's like, well, if you don't buy the house now, or if you don't take action right now, and you're doing the waiting game, you're waiting however many months, years, days, whatever it may be. It's like, well, what situation does that put you in? Because, I mean, do you have a family that you're moving? Do you, are you going to continue to rent? Like, how does that affect your personal life too? Those are questions that,
Listen, they're going to ask those questions inevitably. You can't stop them. They're always worried about time frame. They're always worried about what they're going to be doing with their money. They're always going to be worried about how long it's going to take them to get there. Listen, at the end of the day, you have to put your trust in your agents, your loan officers, the people that are working for you, your title companies. And once you're working for them and you're working underneath them and you're trying to figure out the situation of purchasing a home or moving your family into a new home, just trust the process.
Trust the process and make it make sense.
Absolutely. And you can... And I think it's crazy because a lot of people don't ask the stupid questions. You may have a stupid question in your head that might be like, oh my God, I would never ask my agent this question or the title company this question. Ask away. We've heard hundreds and millions of stupid questions. Ask those questions.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so, they're not that crazy. They're really not that crazy of questions.
Absolutely. So that's my take on it. You know, if you guys have any other takes, you guys feel like you want to express your opinion on the state of the market or what you guys are looking for, please state away, comment, and let us know.
Yeah, put them in the comments. Let us know what your thoughts are about the market, what you want to hear about, just like Ali was saying, and then we'll try to get them answered.
Let's talk about this. So when I was a sophomore, junior, and senior in high school, my parents were looking for a house to move from East Dearborn to Dearborn Heights. So my whole anticipation was I'm going to end up going to Crestwood, you know, my junior and senior year.
Yeah.
That was the goal. You know, it's funny. A lot of people tell me that I look like I went to Crestwood, which I don't know how it makes sense. I'm a straight Fortuner, straight out of Fortune, straight tractor. But it's so funny that people tell me that. So my parents were looking for a house at the time. They had a huge struggle, 2-3 years, and it was just tough. I remember they had a conversation with one agent, and then another agent had just brought something their way, which is a home that we currently live in today. But it took them 2-3 years to find something. And I think it was because my mom was just picky, and she just wanted something, you know, perfect for her. Because at the time, we were living in a rented home. My junior and senior year, we were living in a rented home, 1 bathroom upstairs, and we were a family of 7. I got 3 sisters, 1 brother. And I look at them, and I'm like, it's crazy because we lived in that house all by ourselves.
Yeah.
And we're a family of 7. Like, it's not easy going upstairs is the only bathroom. So basically, you can't have any guests over. You can't do much. There's really nothing you could do. You just have to live with it.
Yeah. Do you think the biggest struggle was trying to find the house because of your mom being a little bit picky, or was it like a combination of things?
I think at the time it was more of my mom being picky. I don't think it was. The market was different back then. Obviously, I can't tell you what the state of the market was at the time. I wasn't working it, but the market was different at the time. You know, it was like I know the home that my parents bought has doubled, almost tripled in value since they bought it in 2013. So,
wow.
Which it kind of tells you, you know, where Dearborn Heights is headed.
Yeah.
You know, it's headed down a great path, and you know, so is Dearborn, and you're watching it, and it tripled in value almost, but just it's crazy because it was very hard for them, extremely hard for them.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really know too much about the way that my family was purchasing a home because they purchased it before I was born. What I do know is I've been there. I've been living in that same house for 25 years, but just hearing the stories about it is that it was hard too. I don't know whether it was hard to find the house or more so like something else, to be completely real with you.
It could have been anything, realistically.
Yeah.
You don't know what it really could have been. You were too young anyways to even realize it.
Yeah, I was literally just born.
You were too busy at Fortune, bro, to flirt with the girls, bro.
You think that's what it was?
Yeah, 100%.
No, man.
100%.
I don't know. Edame.
No. But yeah.
Fortune was a good time.
Man,
I went to Fortune, yeah.
Fortune was a good time. Yeah. I went to Lori, then I went to Fortune. Man, and I would give it anything to have those years back.
They were those were stress-free times. You were just having fun.
Absolutely.
It was a great time. You had nothing on your back, nothing that you had to worry about. But how did you stay at Fortune? Because you said you moved to Dearborn Heights.
So we moved after I graduated.
Okay.
So we moved after I graduated. So my parents ended up finding something. My anticipation, and no joke, this was really like we were talking to Crestwood High School. I think it was a case where we had something under contract. My mother ended up backing out, and my father and my mom ended up backing out because something about, you know, basically there was something wrong with the house. I don't know what it was exactly. And we just ended up not going. And I remember we were talking to Crestwood High School. And I'm like, I don't want to go to Crestwood. I don't want to do this. I just want to whatever. And, you know, it's funny. My wife's from Crestwood.
Hey, look how it plays out, right?
Absolutely. So it plays out. Well, after I moved to Dearborn Heights, for some odd reason, that's when I met my wife. So, so it worked.
Yeah, because it's hard. It's hard just like, you know, picking up and moving, especially like when you're going to school. Because then you got to, like you said, you got to transition to like, hey, like, am I picking Crestwood? Am I going to Dearborn High? It's the middle of the school year. Where do I start?
Yeah.
So a lot of people, that's why a lot of people actually probably like to buy during like the summer. I feel like, and plus like the moving is like a lot easier and all that stuff.
So yeah, in the summer it is a lot easier because the kids are in school and stuff like that. So That's another huge thing. You know, if we wait to the spring market and see what's going to happen in the spring market and the summer market, it might not be looking good. You know, you might still be seeing those multiple offer situations.
Yeah, a little bit more.
Probably even more. Yes, there's a lot more people that have been waiting on the sidelines whose kids are in school. Outside of the people who have been waiting for rates to drop and this magical number of this home to drop $200,000, that's probably not going to happen. But these are the people who, you know, are going to come into the market. Now you're competing against more people. My suggestion for everybody who is looking now, try to find something. I don't want to tell you to settle. I want to tell you, lower your standards a little. Try to grasp at what you're looking at. If this home makes sense, square footage wise, location wise, you know, try to focus on 3 things. I like to tell everybody this: 70, 20, 10. 10% of the things that you can't change, you're just going to have to live with. 20% of the things that you can change. You can change renovations. You can renovate the home and stuff like that. Obviously, you can't change location and things like that. Renovations, any repairs that the home needs, whatever, let that be your 20%. And the other 70% is everything else that makes sense. As long as 70% of the stuff makes sense, 10% of the things you can't change and 20% you can change, move forward.
Yeah. And you're absolutely right, by the way. And it's like you're also building generational wealth when you're purchasing a home. Whether you believe that it's a starter home or your forever home, there's always that equity that you keep, always that value that goes up. And then, you know, you pass that on to your family, or you could just take that equity and maybe even buy your, you know, your future home or your forever home in the future. There's a funny, not funny actually, it's actually a little bit concerning. There's something that I was reading up about not that long ago, and it's really what it is right now is I feel like is affordability. There's a lot of people that are submitting applications and you know, to get a pre-approval to get their mortgage, and again, very unfortunate that they're getting declined. But like, you know, why is that? Like, that's the main question whenever you're talking about a topic is like, why? What I was reading translates and it makes sense. A lot of these people are thinking like, hey, in the past it was so much easier to buy a house, and to be honest with you, it truly was, because one, you're buying the house at a cheaper price, but it also correlates with like, okay, well, I was making enough money to purchase that house, and the taxes and the insurance were all at like an equivalent sort of like value. Now what's happening is the home prices are skyrocketing, or they're getting higher, but wage earning is not translating the same. So you got your insurance that's going up, your taxes that are going up, the prices of homes that are going up, but the average median income is not going up, or at least at the pace that it needs to go up for people to afford these new like $400,000 or $500,000 homes. So that's been really tough for people, and I don't think it's easy to grasp. And it's like, you know, why don't I qualify? Well, you know, when you dig a little bit deep, you kind of find out why.
Yeah, people are just, there's a lot of people are accumulating a lot of debt right now, and it's hard. It is very hard. It's not an easy economy. As much as we don't want to believe it, we are in a recession. It's a weird one, I would say. It's very hard for people to make ends meet, you know, pay their bills. A lot of people are in financial debt. So, you know, it's a tough time.
At an all-time high.
Absolutely. So we're at a tough time for everybody.
For sure.
And I don't think there's a small sector. I don't think there's a huge sector. I think we're all over the place right now. And for, you know, there's people who obviously they have help from others. So they're able to do the extra stuff that they want to do, you know, and that's a blessing for them, you know, but there's a lot of people who don't have it. And for those people who don't have it, they are accumulating a lot of debt.
Yeah, they are.
So it's tough.
Picking up second jobs, you know, a lot of things.
All power to them. You know, it's a tough time. It really is a tough time.
Yeah.
Hopefully it gets better. It gets better for everybody. But I think we touched on some good topics today, Mook.
Yeah, I think we did too. We did a good job.
That was good. Yeah. Thank you guys for watching. You know, please follow, subscribe, comment. Give us any recommendations that you guys feel you would like for us to discuss, and we hope to see you back here next time on Garage Talk.
See you on the next episode.